You're listening to Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum. Ryan's having a seat as we talk.
Yep.
Having a little chat. Good to see you, Ryan.
Hello, good to see you.
I didn't sleep well last night, so if I look like Merle Haggard.
Merle Haggard?
He was a country singer. Just Haggard, the operative word being me. Haggard.
Not the
just
Harry
tired. Just tired today. Just barely. We had to do a bunch of Talkville stuff and all that stuff. Hey, thanks for listening to the show. Appreciate you. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for taking the time and choosing this podcast because there's so many freaking podcasts, but we've been doing this a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Look, if you want to support the podcast, if you're here for Wil Wheaton, thank you. If you like the interview, all I ask is subscribe. If you like it, say, hey, I like the interview, man. Good job. And subscribe and follow us, and I'd appreciate it. You also have a chance of being on the podcast if you join Patreon, patreon.com/insideofyou. And there's a new tier, and it's called How Deep Is Your Love tier. And so a few people will come on and talk about mental health or whatever at the end of an episode and have them on for a few minutes and say thank you for being a patron.
Mm-hmm.
There's also many other perks. I send boxes and sign stuff. And so just go to Patreon, patreon.com/insideofyou. Check it out and see if you want to become a patron today and support the podcast. I always say it's like a streamer. It's like if you are watching the show constantly and you're like, why not give back? Go to my Instagram at the Michael Rosenbaum and my Linktree. It tells you everything I'm doing. Cameos and all the conventions I'm going to, doing Smallville Nights with Tom. We have a cruise, the Smallville cruise. Go to cruiseville.com. You have to get tickets. It's going to be a blast. A lot of the cast are coming on this cruise. So get tickets now. It's June 15th to the 22nd. And we're going all around. Bahamas, Honduras, Cocote. I don't know. Don't ask me. But it's going to be amazing. We're doing a lot of stuff on the ship. A lot of excursions. You can take excursions and swim with pigs with me.
Ooh.
You could do karaoke with me, Smallville Nights, and
nice.
a bunch of other stuff. Also, the Inside of You online store, folks. If you want autographed pilot episodes of Smallville or Lexmas scripts or ship keys or tumblers, or there's the Funkos, which you can't hardly get. And some people they sign, they have my autograph, and I'm not sure I signed all these, but they're for sale for they're selling them for a lot, but you can get them and know that they're signed by me for, a lot less. And lunchboxes signed by me and Tom, Smallville lunchboxes. And a lot of other stuff. And last but not least, I have to just give you this. This is the Rosie's Puppy Fresh Breath here, trying to, get this product going. Ryan, Rosie's Puppy Fresh Breath, just a capful in your dog's water, odorless, tasteless, and your dog's breath will be great. I'm on the back here, a picture of me. No brushing, just add to your dog's water. And a lot of people are loving it. So thank you for supporting Rosie's Puppy Fresh Breath. And we got a great episode. Wil Wheaton is here again. And he's got this new idea, this new show where he narrates people's literary works. Mm-hmm. And the way he does it is pretty freaking cool. And I'll let him explain it. But we talk about so much. We talk about dysfunction and mental health, and we get deep, as always. I didn't know where else this would go since the last episode, but it gets even better. And I appreciate him for being so open and honest. Always. He's such a great guest, such a great guy. I loved having him over, and we're gonna get a drink or something. I don't drink, but we could have maybe a shake. Maybe we could have a shake, Ryan.
Go to the malt shop?
Yeah, go to the malt shop, have a shake.
Get a shake.
For God's sakes. We could do that. Thanks for being here. Again, thank you. I appreciate it. Let's get into this. Let's get inside of Wil Wheaton.
It's my point of view. You're listening to Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum. Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum was not recorded in front of a live studio audience.
We are starting the podcast today. Will is trying to convince me to watch. You're not trying to convince me.
Absolutely not. I think it's
watch Severance.
Did you watch The Wire?
I tried
for
the first 2 episodes. People say you need to get through the first 3 and then you're okay. Is that true?
I don't remember. What I remember
What
I remember about The Wire is that I was on location in Vancouver. It was pouring rain as it does, and I was at the Sutton, and I had nothing to do. I had nothing to watch on a day off. So I walked down about 2 blocks to the HMV and went to that section of TV DVD sets. This is like before you could do this online.
Yep.
And I walked in, and just so many people had just been all up in my shit about go watch The Wire. And I thought, okay, I'll watch it. I'll give it a try. And I went back to the Sutton, and I put it in the DVD player, and like literally 9 hours later, I got up. I couldn't stop watching it. I was just captivated by it. The reason I ask you if you watched it is one of those shows like Friday Night Lights, which I understand.
I love Friday Night Lights.
Okay. I never watched it because I got so exhausted by every dude I know going, you haven't watched it? You've got to watch it. What do you mean? We all know that guy who like will not shut up about how great The Wire is. And after a while, I don't care. I don't care that it's great.
Is that?
Just leave me alone about it.
That's what happens. It's like, oh, you have to watch this. You have to watch this. I'm like, I don't have to watch shit.
Yeah. Well, then
I'll make that decision.
And then it becomes like, are you going to test me? Like, am I going to come back to you and be
well,
like,
what'd you think about that?
I
What do
don't
you think
know.
that
I mean,
means?
did I like it the right way? I don't know. So I believe that you would like Severance. But I tell everybody, if you're not like really on board, if you're not, wow, I want to know what happens at the end of the first episode. Who has time? Why do you want to invest 3 episodes in a show, which is ridiculous? You're like, why do you want to spend 3 hours on a thing when it might not ever pay off?
Because your hope, usually.
Because you're too young to have experienced Lost in real time.
Like I just watched the series Paradise.
Okay.
And everyone was telling me to watch it. So I watched it. The first episode is great. And then a lot of the episodes, it's not that they're bad, but it becomes sort of network television feel. And then
doesn't that break your heart?
It does. And I'm like, oh, cheesy, or I don't like this
it's a procedural. Here we go.
I mean, look, the acting's for the most part great, but episode 7 was one of the best episodes you'll ever see. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And then the finale is back to kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, and it looks like there's going to be another season. I'm like, did you watch it? It just feels like, how are they going to get another? Who would want to watch another season of this?
Yeah.
Like it was good. And I'm glad I watched it, but I don't want to do another season. They try to stretch it out. One show I will say, and then we'll get into this.
Yeah.
Have you seen Dark?
No, I keep seeing it keeps coming across my dashboard on Netflix.
I promise you, you can tell the world I'm an asshole, and I'll agree with you.
Yeah.
Dark is probably the first season is probably one of the best seasons of television in history.
Yeah,
and
all the way from the get-go.
You will love it. Your mind, you're very cerebral. You're very, you love sci-fi. You love clever stories. You like going down wormholes. You like all this stuff. With your mind, I think you will just eat it up.
Okay.
And it's not something that everyone has seen. It's sort of like most.
It's still like a little. I wouldn't say that it's under the radar. It's just like sort of like it blips on the radar, but there's something else next to it that grabs the attention of the average person instead. So they go after whatever that happens.
And you have to watch it in German and subtitled.
Yeah,
obviously.
I
don't like when I can't do that. I can't like watch something in a different, like, speaking English when they're speaking German. It just takes me out of it.
Have you ever met someone from a non-English speaking country who watched your work in their native language?
A lot.
So I was in Germany and I met some people who had watched Star Trek: The Next Generation in the German dub. And when I was a kid, I never understood why German fans in particular were very thumbs down on Wesley Crusher. Like they really hated him. And I was like, I do not understand this. It makes no sense at all until I went to Germany for a con, 15 years ago.
Oh boy.
And I heard the voice. There was a direction choice made at some point to make him a whiny, really annoying, pay attention to me. Why isn't anybody
Why
listening?
am I doing that?
Like basically, like they made the choice that was made was to make, he was so unlikable. Like I hated that character, and it was weird because that's not who that character is. And it supported my conviction that when something is created in another language, always watch it with subtitles.
Yes.
Because there's so much that's important for the
Oh my
performance.
gosh, I can imagine, a lot of people, in Brazil will say, and I saw it once. I saw me with a Portuguese accent or something.
Yeah.
Or seeing it, on Mexican TV, and it's just like, bienvenidos a la ciudad de Lex Luthor. Ya no see about that Clark. And I was like, whatever. And I was like, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how good the acting is, in terms of what they are seeing and what they perceive as good.
Yeah.
So you're only, that's the thing. You can only cover your own ass.
Right.
Once it gets to the other countries, it's sort of like, I hope they chose the right direction.
Yeah.
So that's how you found out. You're like, yeah.
Well, then it made all kinds of sense to me. And for that entire con, so many people were coming to introduce themselves to me and getting picture signed and things like that. And I don't know, probably slightly more than half. I always thought I hated Wesley, and it turns out that I don't. That's so weird.
Oh my gosh.
That's so strange.
It's like you want to talk to that casting director and go, hey.
I just want to know.
Or the direction.
Yeah.
Man. All right. So look, since we talked last time, a lot's happened. It's been a couple years.
Yeah.
But first of all, how are you doing?
I'm pretty good. I mean, the world, I don't know if you've looked at the world lately. But
I tend to look at the world. I try to distract and never talk about the world when I'm in here.
Yeah.
It's sort of my breakaway. But yes, I see things happening that are just shoved in your face that you can't look away.
Yeah.
And it's disheartening. And,
it is.
You just try to, how do you deal with it?
The way that I can honestly answer that question is existentially and in a large, gigantic global sense, terrible. Everything's terrible. But in the immediate, this side of my event horizon, things are really good. Yeah. My family is doing really well.
You have 2 kids?
I have 2 kids.
How old are they now?
33 and 35.
33? You look 33 and 35.
I know. Dude, I turned 53 in July.
Oh, so your birthday's July 29th.
Yeah.
So you're a year and 18 days older than me.
No shit.
No. You're less than a year older. I'm July 11th, so you're less than a year.
Oh,
you're 18 days less in a year than I.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you feel about that? How does that make you feel when you turn 53? Is it kind of shocking, or you just don't care anymore?
I have been so consistently surprised by the moments where I don't feel that I'm a middle-aged weirdo, and the moments where I feel like, gosh, I'm really getting older. I feel that when my body just asserts, I've been around for a really long time and you have not exercised me as much as I told you needed to. So that's a whole thing that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
And anytime I'm around someone in their 20s, and I'm just so curious. I just want to know, what do you care about? What drives your world? I know it was important to me in the 90s. What's important to you now? And most of the time I feel like I am speaking to someone from another planet because I have no idea. I don't understand the culture. I don't, the values are confusing.
It just
to me.
feels like every day there's something new that you're like, oh, that's the thing now?
Yeah.
Or that's what we're doing? Or
My understanding is that youth culture moves faster than it ever did. And I was reading something about for kids that are in school right now, the thing that's hilarious during the first period of school is just old news and dumb by the time lunch rolls around. And they're like, get off of it. Now we're on to the 5th meme iteration of that thing. I'm just God, I cannot keep up with that. But generally, I'm doing well. Since I was last here, when I wrote Still Just a Geek, I was looking for some catharsis,
It's up there somewhere.
Oh,
Yep.
I love that.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
It's either this bookshelf or that bookshelf. Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm really honored that it's still being that. I love that. Thank you.
Of course.
I was hopeful for a catharsis, right? I was hopeful for some understanding, and did I not find that? All I did was really re-traumatize myself and reveal to myself all kinds of stuff I had not dealt with. all kinds of stuff I needed to reprocess and work through, and so much trauma that I need to heal.
Really, after all the trauma, after all the work on yourself, it was something that after you wrote that, you felt sort of like, wait a minute, I'm going backwards.
Yeah, I was forced to be honest. I had to be honest with the reader, and that forced me to be honest with myself. And in pursuit of that veracity, I had to confront things that I'd always overlooked or gone around or pushed to the side to be dealt with later.
Yeah.
And it's been a couple of years since it came out. And when I was finishing up press, there was a day where I just realized my body is dysregulated. I'm in this real major fight or flight all the time.
I know how that goes.
And I need to prioritize my mental health. I need to prioritize getting better.
I wish more people would do that. I wish I would do that more, most of the time. I think that we always put our mental health to the side a little bit. And we're like, oh, that's okay. I could deal with this. And I'm just going to keep going. And you could feel it. You could actually feel it physiologically.
Yeah.
Your body, the anxiousness, you're ahead of yourself. What is causing that? And we ignore that.
That's a fight reflex, right? So like we're fighting against allowing those emotions to land on us and to experience them. And what I ended up doing was looking at like what the year in front of me looked like, and what does my future look like? What do my commitments look like? What's my time look like? And I had the privilege to center and prioritize just taking care of myself and my mental health. Like I kind of made it my job.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Traditional in-person therapy, Ryan, can cost anywhere from $100 to $250 per session. But with BetterHelp Online Therapy, you can save on average up to 50% per session. Seriously, it's the best investment you can make. With BetterHelp, you pay a flat fee for weekly sessions, saving you big on cost and on time.
Therapy should feel accessible, not like a luxury. With online therapy, you get quality care at a price that makes sense and can help you with anything from anxiety to everyday stress.
Your mental health is worth it, and now it's within reach. Therapy from BetterHelp is helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. It's convenient, too.
You can join a session with the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life. Plus, switch therapists at any time.
Your well-being is worth it. Visit BetterHelp.com/inside to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/inside. Inside of You is brought to you by Shopify. We talk about Shopify all the time, don't we, Ryan?
We sure do.
Yeah, and the one thing I learned about Shopify is it's for everyone. It's not for just people who are starting a new business. It's also for people who have a business. If you're starting a medium-sized business, a large business, whatever you're doing, if you're not using Shopify, you are not monetizing on what could be a lot of money. And, when I first started doing these podcasts, I talk about it all the time, but I can't navigate my way out of my house. Okay. And Shopify is so easy to use. If you have a new product that you want to sell, and, it just helps the store, just helps my podcast, or it will help your business grow. Everything's right there in the dashboard. You just upload a picture of a product. You put how many you have available, the price, the weight. I bought a little scale. It's like $5 on Amazon. You say, oh, it's 10 ounces. And that's it. The shipping and handling all that stuff is so easy. They do everything pretty much for you, so you don't have to do anything on Shopify. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world, and 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S., from household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands just getting started. It's for everyone. Get started with your own design studio. With hundreds of ready-to-use templates, Shopify helps you build a beautiful online store to match your brand style.
Get the word out like you have a marketing team behind you. Easily create email and social media campaigns wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling.
And best yet, Shopify is your commerce expert with world-class expertise in everything from managing inventory to international shipping to processing, returns, and beyond. If you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. And that's so true when it comes to managing inventory. It will tell you how you did last month, which products are doing better. It's so easy and so fun. It's actually fun. I have a good time using Shopify. Turn your big business idea into cha-ching with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your 1 month, $1 per month trial period and start selling today at shopify.com/inside. Go to shopify.com/inside. One more time. That's shopify.com/inside.
I've been doing EMDR therapy.
Isn't that amazing?
Consistently.
I did EMDR. It blew me away.
It has been so healing and so remarkable that there have been moments where it's indistinguishable from magic. And I have said to my therapist, so this is weird. I cannot believe that I'm able to talk about this thing without freaking out, but I am, and I can work through this stuff. And now it doesn't sit on me anymore.
They say EMDR, it's like if one of your problems, something, there's a lot of trees in the forest, right?
Yes.
This was the analogy. She said it's almost like getting through part of that trauma. You're knocking down that tree, and in the process, some of those other trees kind of fall down with that tree when they go down. And it doesn't eliminate everything, but those things that are really traumatic and really have caused you pain, those things don't affect you as much after you complete EMDR or work through it. And it's true. I had a situation where this memory that I didn't think was that pertinent. I was sitting there and she was like, "Oh yeah, we're not going to do it today. I don't think you're ready. I don't, whatever." About we start talking. I just said this one thing. I go, "Oh yeah, and I remember when this happened." Blah blah blah. It's like, "Don't do that." Yeah. And she's like, "Okay, I think we're ready. Let's stay on that." I go, "What? I was just joking." I go, "Yeah." She goes, "I'd like to get into that."
Yeah.
Something that I just kind of threw away and thought, "Oh, this is funny, right? It's funny. It's me guarding myself and pretending it's okay."
Yeah.
And I went from, I went to such a dark place and so emotional that I was almost embarrassed.
Yeah, I get that.
I've never cried that hard in my life.
Yeah.
And it came up and it just, I was lost in it. And, but after that day, I noticed, even to now, when I think about that moment, I know it happened. It's there, but it doesn't affect me anymore the way it did. Is that how you felt?
Yeah. So a lot of my work has been trauma recovery. I'm sure we talked about it when I was here before. I am a survivor of child abuse and child exploitation. And I lived my entire childhood absolutely terrified and alone, isolated in my house, not allowed into my family, treated like absolute shit by my father. It was horrible, all of it. And I have worked really hard for a couple of years to reprocess all of that. And I've been using a really interesting therapy technique called the internal family systems model. And the idea is that our bodies and our minds create like pieces of the personality to do different things for us when we are responding to trauma. And you get kind of like different parts of your personality. And the way that I've been doing this therapy is to interact with these different parts and talk to them and understand like, okay, this part of me is that little kid who's so scared, who just doesn't know what's coming and is so terrified. And I remember being that kid. And a lot of the work that I can do with EMDR and using this particular model, and I'm oversimplifying it, is to get into conversation with that kid and help that kid understand.
Do you talk to yourself?
And help that kid understand that he's safe and he's me and we grew up, and there's just things that happen, and it's weird. And I know that this sounds crazy, but
No.
there are times where I'll be talking to my younger self, and I'll be out doing something, and the younger self will pipe up and be like, I remember a thing. And I'm like, okay, go ahead. Let me hear what it is. And I listen to it, and it's so weird. I was telling my therapist at our last session, it feels silly, but it makes a lot of sense to me that I'm in conversation with myself, and I say to my younger self, sweetheart, I'm so sorry you're going through that. I went through that too. I remember when I went through that, and I know how much it hurts, and I know how scary it is. And if you can hear me, and if you can trust me, I promise you that it gets better, and I promise you are safe. And here's how I know these things. And I'm massively oversimplifying it.
No,
and it does.
But I get it. I'm getting what you're saying, because I can almost imagine, myself just, and I guess I've talked to myself. I definitely talk to myself. But what I'm thinking is, do you also say things like, I know what you're thinking right now, and and that's not true. That's not true. How could you be this way and feel this way?
Yeah.
Here's the reasons why you're wrong.
Yeah.
And
I write myself notes like, dear Will, you have forgotten that you're loved and you're safe and that you matter.
wow,
I am reminding you because you forget all the time. I love you.
That's awesome.
Signed,
That's awesome.
You from the past. And I put it out there for me. And every now and then I come across that and I'm like, wow, I really needed that. I'm glad that I did that for myself.
like little notes
And things. And
I think that's awesome.
It's really easy for people, I think, to fall into this sort of like toxic positivity of just like, well, I just do this little trick. There's nothing tricky about it. And there's a line there, where like, I feel like it becomes avoidance. And then there's a different track where it really becomes like really engaging in just a way that is understandable and accessible to each, each person's journey is different. Each person's experience is different.
Do you medicate?
Yeah. So I take an antidepressant every day.
Me too.
And I'm really grateful for it. I'm a big believer in medication for
some people
in general, but I'm also a huge believer in medication for mental health. Like, as I have said for years and years and years, if you have a chronic illness, you would go to the doctor and get some medication to like take care of that, right?
Right.
Genetically, I have high cholesterol. There's nothing I can do about it. I've tried so hard for years. I even went so far as to literally dump everything I like out of my diet and lifestyle to try to keep my didn't work. So I take a statin 3 times a week.
Right.
No one listening to this is like, oh, that's weird. No one, not a single person would go, huh? What? Right? If anything at all, they would say, oh, well, you're kind of young for that. Or that's sweet. You look healthy. I don't know why you would do that. I don't understand why there would be a different response to
mental health,
to like, I take
depression,
whatever. And I deliberately don't talk about which medication I take because I don't want to influence other people to think, oh, that's the one I want. Because they're very different for different people.
I've said it, but I've also said I went through a lot of them that didn't work before that one worked. But this one may not work for you, and you might need to get through 5 or 6 to get to that one. It was a painful process.
Yeah.
And for me, I understand that exercise certainly helps with mental health,
sure,
and communication and therapy and all these things that you can do. And some people say, well, you don't need therapy, you don't need medication. Everyone is different. Everyone is wired differently. And for me, this is the first thing that has made me feel at least what I think normal is.
Yeah.
And
that's so interesting, right? Like, I don't know what normal is.
I don't know.
I mean, I know what
is.
I kind of know what it looks like. And I've read about it.
do you ever like look at any friends while they're talking and in the past or whatever, and just look at them and they don't know you're thinking this, but you're going, I wish I was as normal as you. I wish I didn't freak out about things like you. I wish that I had this upbringing like you. I wish that almost envious of people.
Oh, dude, one of my friends has the most amazing parents. And he loves them so much, and they love him back so hard, and it's so incredible. And every time I just think, God, I wonder what that's like. I wonder what it's like to feel safe and feel seen and feel worthy and feel like you're enough. Like, I've had to look for that myself, and to dovetail that on the talk of medication, I have complex trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And as a consequence of my complex trauma, my brain has changed, and it does not process neurochemicals the way a non-traumatized brain would. So I take medication to help regulate that, just to help
Sure.
the chemicals in my brain that everybody has just be a bit more even and work out a little more like efficiently. And I heard someone once say, if your brain isn't making the chemicals it needs, store-bought chemicals are entirely acceptable as an alternative.
I want to
And I
hear what
feel
you
like,
use, not
okay.
now, but maybe after.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can tell me. I'm
yeah.
just curious. But yeah, I've done that too. I've had a lot of friends where I'm like, I've had friends that, are really poor and didn't have a lot growing
Mhm.
up. And but a lot of times I would feel like I would switch with them in a second because
sure.
I would see that how much love there was
Yeah.
in their family and how much attention they got or respect or listening to their kids or things. And I would think those things.
Yeah.
I used to spend the night at different friends' houses and I didn't want to leave. I would be
Yeah.
at my friend David Eidelman's for a week and his mother would say, "Does your mother care that you're here still?"
Yeah.
And she goes, "No, she's fine.
Yeah.
She won't. She's fine with it." My friend Danny Cutter, I didn't want to leave his house. My friend Nate Shepard, I didn't want to leave his house. My friend Emil Camacho, I didn't want to leave his house.
Yeah.
And when you growing up, you don't think. A lot of times you start blaming yourself for all these things and why are you thinking this? And it's not it's not that it's, and then that's why I feel like therapy is so important and why communication is and watching documentaries and understanding the brain and understanding childhood trauma and this and that. Because then you could start getting into that inner child thing and saying, hey, it's okay and all that.
Somebody listening to this needs to hear this. You are worthy. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to live a full and satisfying life.
1,000,000%.
It is absolutely okay to go ask somebody for help. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. You're not never gonna get well. It's a thing that I promise you are not the first and you are not the last person to go through this. And you absolutely can pick up that phone call, pick up the phone, make the call to talk to somebody.
100%. And I think people are, I think that was a big stigma. And I think that's going away in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
It's all right.
That's me knocking my phone.
It's your
off
phone.
that
I don't
thing.
give a shit.
Yeah. Who cares about my phone? That's not the worst it's happened to it today. On the way here today, I was going up the on-ramp on the freeway and I jammed it into the cup holder and the phone was like, I'm going to fly out of the cup holder and I'm going to go underneath the passenger seat into that place where you can't reach me.
It always does that. It knows how to piss you off. Do you ever think when something falls, you go, how the fuck did it get there?
If you're going to smuggle things around, honestly, just let them fall under the seat. No one can ever grab them. They just run away from you while you try to pick them up.
I think they have a mind of their own.
Yeah, they
I was
absolutely
taking
do.
my nightly pills before I go to bed and I dropped one down and I put my hand down there and I go, how is it not within a foot or 2 feet of my hand?
Isn't it crazy how far away those things can bounce?
It rolled to the fucking wall.
Yeah.
And now it's got lint and shit on it, dog hair.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the?
You did like a Mario World double jump. What the hell?
To find my pill.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that because a lot of people need to hear it. And a lot of people are like, what if I don't like my therapist? You change your therapist.
You change your therapist.
It's very easy. You don't have to, especially with the online stuff, because BetterHelp's a sponsor. And it's like, they make it easier for you. The people, especially that have like, I don't know. Am I going to like this? Just try it.
Yeah.
Just try talking. I just think that, if I didn't let things out, like, this morning I was talking to my girlfriend and I just started talking about my grandpa.
Yeah.
And she's a great listener. And I just was thinking about him and it brought up things about me and my life. And it was almost like I needed to talk about it. But now I mark my calendar when I talk to my therapist next, because I really want to get, inside more. I want it inside. But no, I appreciate you've always been an advocate for mental health and all that. And I think it's amazing. Do you ever feel like and we're going to get into It's Storytime with Wil Wheaton because I'm very excited about this.
I'm excited too.
Yeah, March 26th. It's launching.
I know. I can't
we're going to
believe
talk all about that. But did you ever go through a phase where, as you're going through this process of not having any relationship with your family and really just drawing a line and that's done. I'm not having anything to do with that. Did you ever feel, and I think we talked about this a little, but did you ever feel like, because I feel like when, for me, I've always been guilted.
Yeah.
It's your blood. It's your mother. It's your father. It's your this. It's your that. And I'm just a sap, I guess. And I just like, oh, well, you've been best friends with this person. Well, and it's almost like it's making me feel bad about myself. Like maybe, and that's bringing back childhood stuff. Did you ever have those feelings?
Absolutely. In my family, I have one relative who loved me unconditionally, who always supported me, who was always there, who made me feel like I mattered and made me feel safe. And that was my Aunt Val. And my mother is just a deeply manipulative person. And one of the times my dad was super cruel and abusive to me, and I stood up for myself, he went off on a big pout about it. He had a big temper tantrum about it.
Right.
And my mom sort of cornered me later that day or maybe the next day and accused me of like hurting the family. Right. And then said, Aunt Val always said nothing's more important than family. And at that moment, I realized my mom is using the love that I have for my great aunt who has been gone for too long to try and control me and she's weaponizing the love I have for my great aunt.
The one person.
The only person. And I was like, how dare you? And I was offended by that in a way that all the other shit they didn't offend me. And I just remembered that when I was, I didn't want to walk away from my family. I wanted to heal my family. And I tried so
You wrote a letter.
I tried so
Didn't you write a
hard.
letter?
I wrote a letter. I wrote lots of letters.
Yeah.
And I got on phone calls and I did
nothing.
everything. It just wasn't ever gonna happen because they are people for whom that will never, ever happen.
They're not wired that way.
They're not wired that way. I have said that God, it sucks to not have parents. It really hurts to not be part of a family, but it hurts more to subject myself to the whims of the people who are choosing not to be loving parents, but who chose to be an abuser in the case of my dad and someone who just used me to have things in the case of my mom. In spite of all of that, there were moments where I wanted to call them to tell them about things. When my book came out, which tells my whole story, that tells all about how awful they were. Still, I was like, I got to call my mom and dad. When I was getting ready to do this podcast, and when we put out our announcement, and the response was so overwhelming and so positive and so much. The volume of people was so much greater than I anticipated. The instinct is call the parents and tell them, and it's still there. And I'm like, but no. So when
that's really interesting, by the way.
And it's just, I think it doesn't mean that you have forgotten or you have forgiven or you
hate them
or whatever it is, right? It doesn't matter what that is. That is a supernatural impulse. Everyone has parents. Every child has a mom and a dad. Yeah. And you want to share that with them. And I've just accepted that, when I have that impulse,
call your wife.
I text my Star Trek family.
Inside of You is brought to you by Rocket Money. If you want to save money right now, just listen to me for a minute. Trust me, you're going to like this. Ryan's used Rocket Money. I've used Rocket Money. So many millions of people have used Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions. It monitors your spending and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. This is an app designed just to help people. It's pretty amazing because I don't know how many times with all these subscriptions that you get that you just forget about a subscription that you don't even want, and you're spending all this money, and those bucks add up. You add $14, $14.99, and you forget about it for 10 months.
Yeah.
Let alone another subscription you forgot about. You're just blowing money. And, it's the start of a new year. It's a perfect time to get organized, Ryan. Set your goals, prioritize for what matters most. And, besides family and loved ones, money, saving money. You could also on Rocket Money see all your subscriptions in one place and know exactly where your money is going. For ones you don't want anymore, Rocket Money can help you cancel them.
Rocket Money will even try to negotiate lowering your bills for you. They automatically scan your bills to find opportunities to save. Then you can ask them to negotiate for you. They'll deal with the customer service so you don't have to.
I mean, come on. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. I mean, this is an amazing app. I can't say enough about this. Rocket Money has a dashboard that gives you a clear view of your expenses across all your accounts. You can easily create a personalized budget with custom categories to help keep your spending on track. See your monthly spending trends in each category to know exactly where your money is going. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/inside today. That's rocketmoney.com/inside. rocketmoney.com/inside. Today's show is sponsored by strawberry.me. Listen, a lot of you out there, including Ryan and myself, we work hard and to get somewhere. That's the goal. But sometimes we get into a rut and we don't know what to do. We can talk to our friends, but they don't know anything. They're not experienced. They're not trained specialists to know what's going on. They're not career coaches. And career coaching is brilliant. I have learned so much from it. For instance, one of the things that I started doing was I got a whiteboard and scheduling my events for the week. I write a list of all the things I need to do. And my career coach says, just circle 3 of them and get those done for the week. And then off to the next 3. And things I want to do with my health. And there's so many little things that I've learned by career coaching that have helped me throughout the years. And I want to help you. So I know it works. And this just isn't generic advice. It's personalized, results-driven coaching experience that uncovers your hidden strengths. It gives you the strategies to stand out and move up faster. And most importantly, it keeps you accountable so you follow through and you make real progress.
At strawberry.me Career Coaching, we help professionals like you take the next step with confidence. We'll match you with a career coach who gets your challenges and goals.
Yes, it's so amazing once you sit down with someone and talk to someone who specializes in this, and they know your weaknesses. Believe it. They'll be like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And they're like, "Okay, well, let's try this. Let's try," and things that you're like, "Wow, why didn't I do this forever ago?" Your next opportunity is out there. Let's make sure you're ready for it. Get started today at strawberry.me/inside and claim your $50 credit. That's strawberry.me/inside, because your career success shouldn't wait.
I text my Star Trek family.
Gates.
I text Gates and Frakes and Marina and Brent and Patrick and Michael and Lavar. Yesterday morning.
That's nice.
So yesterday morning, before we announced, I texted Lavar because this doesn't exist without him. I texted him and I said, I just want you to know that we're announcing today. And I'm excited and kind of nervous. But this wouldn't exist without you. This wouldn't exist if you hadn't believed in me, if you hadn't said, I want you to do this. This wouldn't exist if you hadn't said, how can I help? And I said, I just want you to know that if this goes the way I really hope it does, it could be the next thing in my life, right? This could be my gig for a while. This is something that I could do, and it feels like it could matter to people. And I just want to thank you for being there for me.
That's awesome.
When you didn't know that you were. And
I could see a happy feeling when we're talking about this.
Lavar called me last night, and I did totally unexpectedly, and told me how proud of me he was.
What?
Yeah. And he was just like, he said, I couldn't just text you. I had to hear your voice. And
I could see you getting emotional now.
And the thing is, like, twice in my life, I have felt what I imagine it is like when your parents love you and approve of you. Once was when Frakes was on Ready Room. And he told me how proud of me he was and how much he loved the show. And just, I don't know, he was curious about me and about what I did and how I did it.
Isn't that weird to have that feeling?
And then last night, it felt that way from Lavar.
Did you get emotional last night?
Yeah. Yeah. But when I got off the phone, I said I was sitting out in my game room playing Fallout 76, which has consumed my life.
Jesus.
And I set the phone down and I just put my arms around myself and I just sat there and I was like, remember what this feels like.
Wow.
Sit in this, enjoy this, feel this in your body. You have these feelings in your heart and in your, arms feel weird. And like, just, there's a feeling of joy and acceptance. And I was like, this is the closest you're ever going to get, buddy.
Isn't that
so?
Something?
Like, love that feeling.
Isn't it? See, that just tells you how important it is. It's so easy just to love your kids, to unconditionally love your kids.
Yeah. The
moment that you've been waiting for your whole life, one or two moments, happened from someone who wasn't your mother or father.
Yeah.
I remember my grandfather sent me a letter, and it was just like, and he had this great handwriting. Irv, he was just and he just said, I just want you to know how proud we are of you, how much we love you. And it really doesn't matter what you do, Mike. We just want to see you happy.
That's incredible.
And I kept it. And
that's great.
It's moments like that you go, it just feels so good. There's nothing that can replace that feeling of unconditional love. That is visceral. And, I'm glad you got that. Bravo, Lavar, too, for the reaching out, because a lot of times, you'll text, "Hey, congrats, it's awesome," and that's fine. That's like, it's nice, or FaceTime or Facebook or a tweet.
Yeah.
But like, actually, someone taking the time to say, "I'm going to call. I'm going to actually pick up the phone, and I want you to hear this. Yeah. This is important." And by the way, you do have a family. You have that family and you have your own family. Yeah. So, you have plenty of people to call now. Yeah. So that shouldn't be a problem. But I understand that feeling of like, you only get one of these, you only get one of this. It's hard because sometimes in your family, whether it's your brothers or sisters or aunts or uncles, there's people that you just don't really like. And it's okay. And I keep telling myself it's okay. Talk to me now about It's Storytime with Wil Wheaton. Okay. How did you come up with this?
A couple of years ago now, it was a long time ago, one of my oldest friends, who I've known since I was a freshman in high school, texted me that a story he had written had been bought by a magazine. He's been writing since we were kids, and it's not his primary profession, but it is his passion. And he's a great storyteller and a talented writer, and just never really found the place that would say yes. And this place said yes. And I was so excited for him. I grabbed the story immediately. I read it, and it's a great story. And I loved it. And I loved the way he wrote it. And I loved how it was told. And this is weird. This is weird for me. I know it is a thing. I have friends, good friends that I love that just see me as a person. I'm not like, I'm sure you've experienced this. There are people who treat you like you, and then there are people who treat you like the thing they see on TV. Right. And it's very, very, very different. And he's one of my friends who has never treated me like that thing from TV. And he really likes it when I narrate audiobooks.
Oh, well, obviously many people do. You've only done hundreds.
Dennis told me how much he liked it. And I just thought, I'm just going to quick and dirty. I'm just going to record this and send it to him just as a, like, here you go. This is just for you, buddy. Just because you're my friend and I'm so proud of you. Congratulations. I started to do that. And then just this voice kind of like leapt, like a little shadow version of me jumped out and went, dude, check this out. You are the narrator of the best-selling audiobook of all time. You're a New York Times best-selling audiobook narrator. People tell you that they buy audiobooks because you narrate them. What if you used all of that privilege to elevate the voices of writers that haven't yet found their way into the mainstream? What if I used that skill that I have, that I've worked really hard to develop, to do really great work, but the original material that forms the basis of that work is coming from people who may be waiting for their break. Everybody needs a break. Everybody just needs that moment to get in, right? So just like when Felicia and I did Tabletop, the idea for Tabletop sprung out of me fully formed in like 4 sentences. And I was, by the time I was done saying what it was going to be, I realized that I just designed the entire show in my head in just a matter of seconds because everything felt right. I kind of intrinsically knew this is the way to do this. And I had a similar feeling about this when it was getting going. So I didn't record the thing. I wrote up an email to my team and I said, this is what I'm thinking. What do you guys think? And like and usually it's a while before I hear back from people because they're busy and I'm not their only client.
Right.
I mean, it was like, I felt like I had not even hit send when the responses started coming in. We're doing this. Let's get going. Let's set up a meeting. This is amazing. I want you to talk to. And it all just came together right away. So I thought, all right, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to go find some writers. And I spent like 9 months just going through every like kind of emerging writer market and every indie publication I could find. And the stuff that was great had already been published and it was like already out there. And I realized I'm not good at this. I need an editor. I need somebody to do this. And a good friend of mine introduced me to Lynn and Michael Thomas, who are the editors of a great speculative fiction magazine called Uncanny. And I had a meeting with them and I pitched them the show and they were really excited. And I said, okay, so to start, I need to show the audience and I need to show the people I'm hoping are going to come pitch me that this is real. So please find me great speculative fiction. I don't care who did it. I don't care how popular it is. Just help me find really great stuff. I would prefer if it hadn't really landed in the mainstream yet.
Right.
Just because I kind of want to put it there. Right?
Yeah.
And they were like, great, got it. And they came back with stuff and like every piece was amazing and everything was wonderful. And all but 2 authors said, yeah, we'd love for you to do this for us. And the authors were excited and supportive. It was important to me to pay them for their work. It was important to me to pay a little bit higher than what the SIFWA per word rate is for things like this. I didn't want any rights. I didn't want anything at all like that. I just wanted permission to narrate their stories. And as I started doing that and going through that process, I had been listening to Lavar's podcast, and I love Lavar's podcast. And I say in the introduction to the first episode, like before we were family on the Enterprise together, I was a Reading Rainbow kid. I was a huge Reading Rainbow fan.
Yeah.
When Reading Rainbow came to our set, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And I just thought, gosh, Lavar's podcast is finished and there's space. And I think I'm going to try to step into that space. If he says it's okay. We had that conversation and all those things lined up, went in and recorded everything.
How much?
Recorded 10 stories.
How long did it take you?
2 weeks.
2 weeks, 10 stories.
And went to edit it. All the audio was bad.
You had to do it again?
I had to do it all over.
Were you upset?
No, I was thrilled. It's like I got a dress rehearsal. I was disappointed, right? I was like, bro, you had one job. That was a bummer. But it was, it wasn't a big deal.
Right.
Just did it again. And it was like I'd had a dress rehearsal that I didn't know I needed.
So much better.
So much better. I asked a woman, her name is Gabrielle DeCure, and she's one of the founders of a company called Skyboat that has done virtually every book that I've done, all the books I do for Scalzi, and a lot of the things that I've done, all the books I've done for Bill Gates, she directs. And we've worked together for almost 20 years, and we have a great rapport and a great creative relationship. And I asked her if she would direct me on these because she helps me elevate my performances. She catches things that I miss. I catch things.
That's good that you have that.
You know,
yeah,
and it's a really good creative partnership. It's
so she reads it first and gets like the idea and the direction, so she knows. Okay, right now you should have a little more energy because this is what's happening.
Yeah, and we talk about it ahead of time. You know, what are the motivations and who is this person and who are you talking to and things like that. Anyway, I brought her in, and we worked. We did really good work together, and she knows me, and she knows my voice, and she knows she's been there literally in the front row for all of the work that I've done. And we were getting ready to finish episode 1 of the podcast and master it and put it up for to be uploaded next week.
And how long is it?
It's about 46 minutes, I think. So I wanted it to be less than an hour. I wanted to give people,
I love that.
I wanted it to be something that you can listen to on your lunch break. You can listen to it on your commute. You can listen to it on your morning or evening walk.
That's why I do
just
hour
a short
episodes.
thing. Yeah.
Because I like, that's what I like.
There's podcasts that I love. I'm a huge fan of Behind the Bastards, but it's difficult to set aside 90 minutes for something.
Yeah, or 3 hours, some of these things.
Man, you're talking to someone who is an old school Dan Carlin's hardcore history fan, and I'd be like, 7 hours? What are you doing?
God.
This isn't a podcast. This is a university course.
Yeah.
So Gabrielle said to me as it was getting ready to go out, she's like, I need you to know that we've done a lot of work together, and I think this is the best work you've ever done. And I feel like I've done really good work in the past. And to hear that from someone who knows me, right? And like after it's finished, right? It's not like I'm saying this to motivate you, right? It's just like, I just want you to know this. And it's hard for me to take that and internalize it and hold on to it because there's a big part of me that really believes that's not true. Yeah. They're all going to laugh at you. Yeah. You know, nobody's telling you the truth. They're all lying to you because they just want to like make money off of 100%. You or whatever. But we've worked together long enough that I trust her. So
and she's never said that.
Never. And I'm not willing to like get out over my skis and be like, look at how great I am. But I am willing to accept the possibility that it doesn't suck.
That's awesome.
That it's good stuff.
And this comes. I love that. I wish there was. I mean, there's so many great writers out there, and they'll never be heard.
Yeah.
And just like I think a lot of actors, and I think that's such a beautiful thing for the arts and for artists out there, and people who want to express themselves, and people who have passions but work 9-to-5 jobs that they don't necessarily love, but this is their passion, and it will remain their passion, but having somewhere for a platform to be heard is so rare. You don't see that. So I hope people really support that.
I hope so too. The material that I am pulling from is short speculative fiction. And the short speculative fiction market at this moment is really struggling. It's hard for the magazines to stay afloat.
Right.
And because the magazines are struggling to stay afloat, nobody's really don't want to say nobody, but the opportunity for writers to get paid for their work it's already difficult, is even more difficult because there are not as many places for them to get published. And it is my hope that by pulling from the short speculative fiction market specifically, that it helps bring a little bit of awareness and a little bit of visibility that Uncanny and Lightspeed and OnSpec and Clark's World and these wonderful online publications that I'm crazy about, that they see a growth in their subscriber base, and that people may go there because they liked one of the stories that I read, and then they find all this other stuff that's just as great.
See, I think this is important because a lot of times what you see, what you hear, what you read, it's sort of along the same lines. You know, it's sort of like you're almost, there are certain things that can differentiate themselves. People can differentiate themselves from other people, but like now you're opening up another whole world of this in a way.
In business, I think that there is an understandable and defendable desire to stick with what's familiar.
That's what I was trying to articulate, but I couldn't.
Because well, it's just oh, I already sold ads for this. I know how to sell it, right? I had meetings with people about this, and they didn't see it. They just didn't get it.
Yeah.
And it was so interesting to talk to people who didn't get it and to see how limited they were in their thinking and how unwilling they were to take a risk. So I financed this completely on my own. And I believe in it so strongly. And I believe in doing it the way I want to do it with the people I want to do it with the material that I wanted to use, that there is an audience that will love it. And I just hope that we find it.
I think you will.
And when we find that audience, then I can take it to people who 6 months ago would have said, well, I need it to be more like this. I need it to be not an audiobook podcast. I need it to be a you talking about current events podcast.
Right.
And I'm like, wait, that's not what I want to do. That I can go back to them and say, so like, this is what we did and this is what it looks like. And would you like to be part of this moving forward? Would you, do you want to get a piece of this?
Yeah.
and hopefully they're like, yes, please.
That's
just
amazing.
because it just means that we just get to do more.
Inside of You is brought to you by Quince. I don't know if you've heard about Quince, but you should have heard about Quince because Quince is amazing. I just got a cashmere sweater for $50 from Quince, and I have been complimented on it left and right. I mean, lightweight shorts and shirts start at $30, pants for any occasion, comfortable lounge sets. And you know what? I am going to treat myself to a first-class quality suitcase at an economy price, Ryan, from Quince. Quince is really the place you want to go if you want to get great stuff at a lower price. Vacation season is just, it's right here. And this year I'm treating myself to the luxe upgrades I deserve with Quince's high-quality travel essentials at fair prices. By partnering directly with top factories, Quince cuts out the cost of the middleman and passes the savings on to us.
And the best part? All Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands.
And Quince only works with factories that use ethical and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes, and we love that. I mean, geez, if you want a piece of luggage or travel accessory or you want clothing, Quince is the place to go. My friend Ethan even said, yeah, I got a cashmere sweater at Quince. I'm like, so did I. Why don't we wear them one night? It's awesome. I always like I like to look nice sometimes because on the podcast, I usually am laid back and comfortable. But when I want to go out and go to a movie or go out to dinner, I want to wear something nice. And, who wants to spend tons of money on clothes when you can get great clothes from Quince at a reasonable price? More than reasonable, I'll say. For your next trip, treat yourself to the luxe upgrades you deserve from Quince. Go to quince.com/inside for 365-day returns plus free shipping on your order. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/inside to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/inside. Inside of You is brought to you by Mint Mobile. Do you say data or data? Well, I say data and data. And for the longest time, I thought paying a fortune on my monthly data plan was just normal. That was until I found out about Mint Mobile and their premium wireless plans that just start at $15 a month. Say bye-bye to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you.
All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network.
Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts.
Ditch overpriced wireless and get 3 months of premium wireless service. Oh, God. Ditch overpriced wireless and get 3 months of premium wireless service from Mint Mobile for $15 a month.
No matter how you say it, don't overpay for it. Shop data plans at mintmobile.com/inside of you. That's mintmobile.com/inside of you. Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month 5 gigabyte plan required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com for details. So you want to do more? So this is like the first season, essentially.
It's the first season, and it's very much I think of it as a pilot season. You know, when you do a pilot for a show, you figure things out. You build you build your sets.
It evolves,
and nothing.
Yeah.
Is exactly like the pilot, right? Like, just you have to do so much. You have to lay so much pipe to the pilot, and it's its own thing. Which is why when I see a pilot that's like also legitimately great on its own, it blows my mind. It's like, how did they do that?
Yeah.
How did you do a pilot like that? That's crazy.
Yeah.
So this whole season is just to see. I'm just saying, hey, audience, I made a thing. Are you there? And hopefully the audience says, we sure are.
And then it's just going to get better and better.
And then I can take that as a thing that's kind of packaged and finished and pitch that rather than having to have a negotiation about what it's going to look like. I really wanted to have something that was mine. Like I love doing other people's work, and I'm so grateful for it. Hosting the Ready Room was the greatest job I have ever had. I loved it, but it's very much at the pleasure of Paramount Plus or CBS or whoever they get sold to. Which means until Strange New Worlds drops, whenever they decide to drop it, I don't know if I'm going to get to go back in and do that again. Right. I don't know if this thing that I love so much is going to just be unavailable to me for the rest of my life. I love that this is my choice. This is my.
Doesn't that feel good? Doesn't that feel good?
It does. It's Storytime is mine.
100%.
And it is. It's mine even more than Tabletop was, because Tabletop, Felicia and I shared Tabletop, and no regrets. I'm thrilled. I'm fiercely proud of our creative partnership and so intensely grateful. And every time I talk about Tabletop, I need to point out, especially for the men in the audience, I am the only dude involved in the development of Tabletop. It was all women, and all the incredibly good ideas came out of Jen Arnold and Sherry Bryant and Felicia Day and Kim Evie. A few ideas came out of me.
So you're just like the dumb guy? No, I'm kidding.
Dude, no, I just learned that, look, on balance, I would rather work with women.
Yeah.
For a woman to have the same opportunity and access that an untalented or mediocre man has, she has to work so hard. So when we have the privilege of being joined by incredibly talented women to work with us,
100%.
Like, just grab it. So anyway, we were coming out of Tabletop. It was heartbreaking to lose control of that to Legendary, and we tried to buy it back. Legendary was like, we're never going to do anything with this. We're not going to re-release it. We're not going to do anything. It's a dead property as far as we're concerned. No, we will not sell it to you.
I never understand so weird, that. Right? I've been trying to get something back forever. And it's
bizarre.
Like, it didn't. We sold it to Sony. We sold it to Happy Madison.
Yeah.
And then ultimately it didn't get made.
Yeah.
And it's like, I have fought for years. I finally got to a point where they said, you can go out with it.
Yeah.
But we get a piece of it.
Okay.
So it's like, okay. But that took forever.
To go out with it.
So, yeah, but I never understood that. It should be in the clause. I think you should say, hey, if we go out with this and we don't sell it, and if you paid me, if I pay you back plus interest, that money, I can have the project back. Period.
Yeah. And the thing is, if you talk to a creative person, the creative person will be like, yeah, I want you to have your thing. The creative person is going to support you getting out there and being creative, right? We just don't deal with creative people anymore. We're talking to MBAs and gross venture capital bros.
It's Storytime with Wil Wheaton. Check this out. This is such a cool, not only a cool project, but an important one. And I love that you had the balls to go out and do something like this.
Thanks, man.
And just it's giving back to me. It's giving back, and it's allowing people to hear from the unheard sometimes.
I really hope so. It is my dream that we highlight and we elevate and we celebrate writers and short fiction. And a year from now or 2 years from now, one of the writers who we played for the very first time on the show that I narrated their thing, maybe they're signing a deal for an IP or something like that.
And they're
Wouldn't
never
that be
going to
cool?
forget that.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Oh, it would be great.
I would love that.
It's funny because I have an idea. I'll tell you after because I haven't I haven't pitched it yet, but I have this idea too that it's something like that. You'll get it. But all right, this is called Shit Talking with Wil Wheaton. Patreon.com/inside of you. Thank you for all of you that listen and support the podcast. And here are some people with questions. Rapid fire.
Let's
Ready?
do it. Yeah, go.
If you could send a question to alien civilization and they could reply with one word, what would you ask?
Will you come save us?
I was gonna say that. I was gonna say, will you help us? Isn't that funny? Will you help us? Because if it's one word, it's like yes or no.
Yes or no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we don't have to ask them if they exist because they're answering us.
Yeah.
How do you deal with writer's block, if any?
I take walks. When I get writer's block, and it happens all the time. So there's a moment in my writing process where this is terrible. Why was I even doing this? What is wrong with me? Why do I'm the worst. I should never try to do this again. I should throw this away. I should print it out and burn it. When that happens, I know that it is the creative part of me saying you're so close to being done.
That's good.
You're almost there. You're almost through the draft. And when that happens, I go for a walk. I get out. I talk it out. I move around. And sometimes that breaks it and sometimes it doesn't. My ability to be creative is predicated on me being able to swim in an ocean of ideas and inspiration. And that ocean has a tide. And I stand at the shore. And when the tide is in, I can get in that water so easily. And I can just take a little dive in and get all the stuff I need. But when that tide goes out, I can't force that tide to come back in.
Right.
I can try to walk down to it. I can try to get close to it, but then I'm only in a few inches of water and kind of whatever comes out of that is muddy and gross and not what I want. I've learned that it's best to wait for that tide to come back in, and it's going to come in on its own.
Yeah.
I cannot force it.
Good. That's experience. That's what that is. You learn from experience. For me, when I write something and I'm like, oh, this is fucking great.
Yeah.
This is really good.
Yeah.
I go, you know what? I'm going to send it to my friend Nick because he'll probably shit on it.
Yeah.
And then I'll know if it's good or not, And when it comes to writer's block, it depends. If I keep coming back and I can't, then I'm like, well, maybe this story isn't meant to be told. Maybe it's not as good as I thought. But I give it time. But it's also very hard. Let's see. Would you ever consider writing or directing future Star Trek projects?
Yeah. I not directing. I don't have any experience there. That's not my skill set. There's people who are really good at it. But writing, I know how to do. I've written lots of Star Trek fan fiction in my life. And if I had the privilege, honestly, just to sit in their room and observe and watch how they do it, oh my God, what a gift that would be.
Yeah.
The closest I've come so far is that I got to write for the Star Trek comic book. And I got to write a Wesley Crusher story for the Star Trek comic book that was set during Picard season 3. And it was really wonderful and really exciting. And it gave me just a little taste of what it is like to go through the Star Trek approval process. It's complicated, man.
Dude, I can't even imagine. There's so many talented actors in Star Trek. Who gave you the best advice? Who were you the most close with? Who intimidated you?
I was intimidated by everyone until I wasn't. I got great advice from everyone at various points during all of those years. One of the things that I'm super aware of is that Patrick Stewart made me a better actor just by being in scenes with me. It was probably 1988 or 1989, first or second season, second or third season. And I heard an interview with someone who had played hockey with Wayne Gretzky. And by the way, Gretzky's mega heel turn breaks my heart. And he, and it's awful that Vladimir Putin's super good buddy Ovechkin is going to be the guy to break Gretzky's record. Can we just reestablish Gordie Howe, please? Because at least if he was problematic, we don't know about it. Anyway, somebody said, when I play with Gretzky, I'm a better hockey player because you do not want to be that one guy on the ice who's not ready. You don't want to be the one guy who he knows you're open before you do. He knows that you have a shot before you have even crossed the blue line.
Be ready.
So you're ready.
Prepared.
And you're prepared and you're focused and you're dialed in. I would work hard to get to that point. And I learned it from being in scenes with Patrick. And no one in Next Gen ever made me feel like I didn't deserve to be there or like I was a dumb kid or that I was an obnoxious kid or anything like that. They were all wonderful to me.
Yeah.
But just by existing the way that he did and carrying himself the way that he did, I don't want to let this guy down. I don't want to be the weak link in this scene.
No, I have been there.
Yeah.
I have been there where I just want to fit in.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
I just want him to look at me and go, okay,
yeah,
you're good.
Yeah.
I've had that with a few actors. Many people look up to you for your honesty about mental health, which obviously you've done today. Does that ever feel like a burden or does it empower you?
It feels like a really important responsibility. I feel like I'm a little bit of a caretaker. And in December, just the reality of what we're looking at for hopefully only 4 years really crashed down on me really, really hard. And I thought, I can't do this podcast. It's frivolous. Like, I need to be doing really important, good work. And as I was saying that, I was like sitting like this. And I looked down and I have this tattoo. It's from Mr. Rogers and it says, "Look for the helpers." And I got it during the first Trump presidency to remind myself that when things are bad, you look for the helpers. When things are scary, you always look for the helpers and you are reminded there are people who want to help.
Yeah.
There are people who want to make things better. One of the ways I can be a helper is to provide an escape and a break and a reprieve from all of that, right? And I can do that by telling stories. And I can do that and I hear this from people all the time. Your voice is soothing. Your voice makes me feel comfortable. Like the way you tell stories, I like that. It feels like it is a gift. It is a privilege. It is also a responsibility.
Sure.
I am trying so hard to be the person that I always needed in the world. And the person I needed in the world was a person who said, mental illness is not a big deal. You didn't choose it. You didn't do anything. You're not wrong. You're not weak. You're not dumb. This is a thing that just happened to you. And like, you can get better. I got better. The shit I have been through, the shit that I survived, if I can survive this stuff, I promise you that you can survive whatever your thing is.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for that. I'm really, really grateful for that. I don't take it for granted. I don't want it to be the beginning and end of me, but I know it's a big part of my life. And had I heard someone who I trusted and respected, who had credibility with me, talking about how mental health is just a thing, it's not a weird thing to be ashamed of or to be weird about. Had I had that voice in my head instead of my mom telling me how embarrassed I should be and how shameful it was and what a betrayal of the family it would be if anyone knew, and how I should just try harder to be cheerful. Like if I had had support instead of that, I wouldn't have suffered for a really long time. I am trying so hard to be the person that I have always needed in the world. Yeah, and if I can be that person for myself, I occasionally am that for someone else. Mm-hmm. So whoever asked that, just thank you for the opportunity to be a helper.
Did I not say, that was April Roller Morris.
Thanks, April.
And
I meet people at cons all the time who are also trauma survivors. And it's like we know.
Maddie Sipe was the writer's block one.
Oh, thanks, Maddie.
And directing Jason Jeter. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
Yes. There we go. Sorry. I didn't say their names, did I?
So I people tell me just like, I'm a survivor too. That's all you have to say. Right. And like, sometimes you don't even have to, like, we just know. And I tell people, and I mean this, I'm sorry that you know this secret handshake. I wish that neither one of us knew this secret handshake. But there is a club that we get to walk into because we know that secret handshake, and we're all in that club together.
And that makes us cool.
And it makes me feel less lonely, and it makes me feel less weird and afraid.
I think that's beautiful. I'll leave you with this. I just remember you were talking about helpers.
Yeah.
I just felt like, when you die, whenever you believe when you die, but if you die and you go to the pearly gates and St. Peter's there, or you're talking to God or whatever, I always feel like they're going to say, hey, did you help your fellow man? Did you look out for him? Did you try to help someone? And those are I think the important things like that I think of as like, how can I help someone? How could I make someone feel better about themselves? How could I, the little things, because we get so caught up in everything. It's those little things that really make you feel whole.
Every one of us has the opportunity to be a helper multiple times a day.
Yeah.
It's just a choice that we make.
100%. All right, look, I could talk to you forever. This is awesome. I love what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
I love talking to you. It's always a treat. You're your energy is just right when you come into the house, playing with the dogs.
Your dogs are great.
Yeah, I love my dogs.
Boy, do I love your dogs. My dog's going to be super bummed when I go home.
Oh, by the way, how many dogs do you have?
I just have one, Marlo.
Oh, yeah, Marlo.
Yeah. What do we have for Marlo?
So this is from Marlo. This is my new product, Rosie's Puppy Fresh Breath.
Oh my goodness.
So you just put a cap in your dog's water in the morning, and it's odorless, tasteless, and your dog's breath will get better. And it's my dog's on there. And
oh my God, that's great.
Yeah.
Bravo. Made in the USA. Way to go, dude.
Hey, man.
That doesn't happen anymore.
No, it doesn't happen
That's
too
great.
much.
I love your dogs. That's wonderful.
Will, you're amazing. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. It's been wonderful to come back.
Awesome. Will you come back again?
Absolutely.
What a guy.
A consummate podcast guest.
Yes. Can you fix this?
Understands the assignment.
Yeah.
What's up?
It's a little, there you go. Perfect. A little crooked. My OCD kicked in. But yeah, he's a great guest because you always know you're going to get the genuine side of him. And there's only one side of him that's genuine.
Gonna get the juice.
You got to get the juice. So, Will, you're the best. Thanks for being here. And thank you guys for being here. If you like the interview, again, subscribe, follow at Inside of You Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, at Inside of You Pod on the Twitter, and join Patreon and become a patron and support the podcast. Patreon.com/Inside of You. And right now we're going to read the top tiers that have been supporting this podcast. This is the How Deep Is Your Love tier. This is the top tier. It's just a bunch of good people supporting a show that I care about, and I care about you guys. So here we go. Nancy D, Little Lisa, Yukiko, Brian H, my 80s concert buddy, Niko P, Zach, you're killing it. Running like the wind, brother. Nancy D, I haven't seen you in a while. You've been traveling a lot with those supernatural conventions. Little Lisa, you're the best. Got your package. You're simply the best. Yukiko, I miss you. Rob I. Wasn't it Rob I?
We keep having this conversation.
Was that an I?
No one is correct.
I think that's Rob I. It's Rob I.
It has always said Rob I. We
It's
always say
Rob
Rob
I.
L.
You're my Rob I. I love you, Rob. Jason Dreamweaver, always love hearing from you. Sweet Sophie M, always the best. I always wish her the best. She's working on herself like the rest of us, just working on ourselves, trying to get better. Raj just sent me a note. Did you get the top tier? Did you get the 5 year? He's been around for 5 years on the Patreon, and I sent the 5 years something special. So if you're a 5 year, you're getting something special, and if you're another tier, you're still going to get special shit too. So
Raj gave me tasty cakes in New Jersey.
He's such a gem.
And I froze them, and there was a couple months where I forgot about them.
And you ate them later?
I mean, I just finished them in the last couple of weeks.
Was it good?
Frozen, incredible. Thank you, Raj.
Wow.
Yeah.
Stacy L and Jennifer N. Stacy L. They've been here for a while. Jamal F. Love Jamal F. Janelle B. Of course. Mike, how the hell are you? Eldon Supremo's been here forever. 99 more. Santiago M. Love Santi. Maddie S. Maddie Sipe. She's amazing. And Kendrick F. Of course, been here. Kendrick F's been here forever. I just sent Kendrick F. And Belinda N. Belinda now. Dave Hole. Dave Hole. We love you, Dave. Brad D. Can't forget Brad D. Ray Harada. A child she's raising and living in Japan, and we miss her. Tabitha T. is just a wonderful soul. Why don't you say a few names?
I will. I don't know any of you personally, but I'll just read your names.
Give them
with
some
alacrity.
affection.
Tom N.
Oh, yes.
Talia M.
Talia.
Betsy D.
I love my Betsy D. Rhiannon C. like the wind.
Michelle A.
Michelle.
Jeremy C.
Jeremy C. Oken.
Eugene and Leah.
Oh man, Eugene and Leah. You know I love some some Eugene
Some
and
Yulia.
Leah. Oh yeah, of course.
Mel S. or Mel's.
Mel's. We love our Mel.
Eric H.
Yeah,
Eric H.
Gosh, thank you, Eric.
Amanda R.
Amanda.
Kevin E.
Oh yeah, Kevin E. And don't forget Jorel. Jorel's been here forever. And Jam and J. Sweet Jam and J. Sweet Leanne J. Luna R. Jules M. Jessica B. Jules have been here forever. So is Luna and Jessica. Kaylee J. I love the name Kaylee. Charlene. Sweet Charlene. Or was that Sweet Caroline? Sweet Charlene.
Sweet Caroline.
Yeah. Marion Louise L. You're the best. You know that. Romeo, the band, of course. Jen T. Love your music, Jen. April R. April. Randy S. Randy. Randall. Pink Floyd. Claudia, beautiful Claudia. You and your mother, I love you guys. Rachel D. is the best. Nick W. Nick. Stephanie and Evan. Stefan. Yeah, we love Stephanie and Evan. And Don Giovanni, lovely Don Giovanni. Jenny B76, been here forever. We love you. Tina E, Tina, talking Tina. NG, Tracy, Keith B. That's all that needs to be said about Keith B. Just Keith, behave yourself. Heather and Greg, Grether, see you soon. Love them. L.E.K., Ben B, Ben B Jammin, Pierre C, Sultan of Swing, Ingrid C, Dave T, David L. Kind of newbies, but not really. Now just part of the family. Dave T and David L. Jeff G. Kareem H. I think I just sent Kareem something too. And Brian B. Don't forget Brian B. We love you from the Hollywood Hills in Hollywood, California. I am Michael Rosenbaum.
I'm Ryan Tays.
Yes, a little wave to the camera. We love you. Thank you so much for being here and supporting us. And we will see you next week. Be good to yourself.